Words are very special to Hope and I. We are young mums, and we know there are mothers of all of us are at different stages of being a mum. We know there are women here that maybe aren't a mum, but it is a song for the women this morning because we believe that God put in women a mothering heart. So whether you are a mother or not, we know that you have a heart to serve and love. And so this is for you this morning. You're up all night with a screaming baby. You run all day at the speed of light. And every day you feel a little bit less like the beautiful woman you are. So you fall into bed when you run out of hours, and you wonder if anything worth doing got done. Or maybe you just don't know, or maybe you've forgotten. You are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time, making history with every touch and every smile. Oh, you may not see it now, but I believe that time will tell how you are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time. With every I know you can do it, and every tear that you kiss away. So many little things that seem to go unnoticed, just like the drops of rain over time. They become a river, and you are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time, making history with every touch and every smile. Oh, you may not see it now, but I believe that time will tell how you are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time. You are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time, making history with every touch and every smile. Oh, you may not see it now, but I believe that time will tell how you are changing the world, one little heartbeat at a time.
Wow, how beautiful was that? We are so blessed. So much talent around this place. It's amazing. Nathan, can you just lift that straight to there, darling? Yep. Thank you. So, Mother's Day 2021. I can remember last year doing my Mother's Day sermon into a camera, and it didn't have quite the same feel that it has today with everyone being here together. And it was probably the worst message I've ever done. When I look back at it, it's like, oh my gosh, I hope no one ever sees it, but that's okay. Hopefully the message was good. But today we're all here together and there's so much to celebrate. Mother's Day is a great opportunity to celebrate and honour our mothers. It was a God idea, and it's a good idea. Today we want to say to all our mums that you are loved and appreciated. My message today is titled, You Are a Significant Woman. Today I want to take this opportunity to honour our extended family of mothers and women. We have all heard the quote that says, it takes a village to raise a child. And it's very true. Unfortunately, these days, many people live a long way away from their families and cannot call on them for support. So we can be part of their village, can't we? We can be part of that support group for them. Kerry and I recently went to a national ACC conference at the Gold Coast, and there were thousands of pastors and leaders there. And we were very blessed to have the honour of having our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, there at that conference. And so he got up and he actually preached a half an hour message. He didn't just stand up there and say, hi, it's great to be here, and pray or anything like that. He stood up and preached for half an hour about his love for Jesus Christ and the difference that Jesus Christ makes in this world, which was amazing. The thing he said was, because we were all churches and leaders there, he said, you might be thinking, what can you do for me? And so this is what he said. You can help me, and I want to let you know how. By building community in your neighbourhood, town or city. By bringing people together, including them, and providing for their needs. And I thought, what a wonderful message for him to bring, because that's what the church is all about, isn't it? The church is there to be a part of the community, to bring people in, to support them, and be there for them. I think as a church we actually do pretty well with that. We have some wonderful things that happen throughout the week at our church, and one of those is pop-in playtime, and we have a lot of mums that don't attend church that come along with their children, and it's so great to see them coming and just being encouraged and blessed as they come and have a cuppa, and people can help with their babies. And many of those people that have come to pop-in playtime for quite a number of years, when the children get too old for pop-in playtime, then they're able to go to kids club on a Friday afternoon, and a number of those have come along to our kids club as well. Often when we have special events, they come to church. So we're reaching out to the community and helping them in many ways. The other thing we do for our women is we have our craft group. And I love that our craft group is an opportunity for perhaps women who are a little bit older that might be lonely or live on their own or just need encouragement. And they come along to our craft group on a Thursday. It's a wonderful opportunity for them to know that there are other women around there that can support them and encourage them. And I've been speaking to many of the craft ladies, and they actually have invited the new ladies to come home for lunch and given them a meal, or if they've got to stay in town, they'll say, come to my place. And it's just so wonderful to see that in action in our church. There's lots of other ways the church helps. We actually provide meals to sick people. We also have a community care fund and support people in that way. So we're doing that. But I think that when we talk about mothers and families and church, it's all about being a community that can reach out into our community. And it's so exciting to do that. Mother's Day is really all about family and community working together. If you think about a sports person, we only see the end result, and one person is given the credit for the win. But we all know that a high-profile sports person has a large team surrounding them. So if you think of someone like Ash Barty or one of the big-name tennis players, they get the credit for that win, but they have a team of 30 or 40 people. They have dietitians and people that organise their clothes, people that organise their rackets, coaches, and the list goes on. For that sports person to be successful, they have a whole support team behind them that is helping them to achieve that goal. For a mum to be successful, she needs a team to support her as well. And this could be her husband, mother, mother-in-law, stepmother, grandmother, sister, auntie, or friend. Every person in this team can provide different things and help in various ways. I want each of you to know today that you are a significant woman. When we talk about supporting each other, I actually love the way that in other cultures and other countries, 3 generations of one family all live in the same house. And we saw this when we lived in Brisbane for a while. And if you go to other capital cities around Australia, you'll find, particularly a number of years ago, the Italian families. So a lot of them were builders and tilers and all that sort of thing. So with Italian families, they would build this huge big house. It would be 2 stories and just huge. And they would all build that together, and then they would all live in that house together. And so there'd be grandma and grandpa and mum and dad and the kids, and sometimes a whole heap of families all in the one house. Then eventually, when someone got a bit more money, they'd all build another house, and then some other people could live in the other house. But I just love the way that in those kind of cultures, so the mum and dad would go out to work and earn the income. Grandma and grandpa would stay at home and cook and wash and look after the children while they went out to earn the income. And you find in a lot of those families, not only Italians, but many cultures around the world, that the children become so close to their grandparents because they've basically been raised all in the same home. And it's just beautiful. I just love seeing that. And I have actually offered to my children that if they like to build a big house with a granny flat, we could come and look after the kids while they go to work. But anyway, in Australian culture, it doesn't quite work that way, does it? People don't quite get excited about having the parents there. But I know that we all do try to help as much as we can, hey? Today I would particularly like to give honour to grandmothers, mother-in-laws and stepmums. We see in 2 Timothy 1, verses 3 to 5, that Paul is talking about his own ancestry and also Timothy's heritage when he talks about his mother and grandmother. In verse 3 it says, "I thank God whom I serve as my ancestors did, with a clear conscience, as night and day I constantly remember you in my prayers. Recalling your tears, I long to see you so that I may be filled with joy. I am reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you." Isn't that beautiful, to think that what's been handed down, your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois, in your mother Eunice, and now I'm persuaded this lives in you. That's what we want to do as Christian mums and grandmas, don't we? We want to see that being passed down to the generations. Then in verses 13 and 14, it says, "What you heard from me, keep as the pattern of sound teaching, with faith and love in Christ Jesus. Guard the good deposit that was entrusted to you. Guard it with the help of the Holy Spirit who lives in you." So things that were precious for them as they were growing up and as they were becoming teachers themselves was that they'd heard the teaching of God, and they were encouraged to keep that pattern of sound teaching with faith and love. Guard the good deposit that was entrusted you. Guard it with the help of the Holy Spirit. And I believe that for all of the grandmothers that are here today, that you're seed planters, you're all gardeners. And as much as I'm a really bad gardener, we are gardeners into our families' lives. And for many of us, we get that opportunity to speak into our children's lives, but also with our grandchildren. And I just love having the opportunity to read books to them, because I think there's so much in those books, and just being able to put them on your lap and just infuse something into their lives. We all love our grandmothers and are so grateful for the deposit they have put into our lives. The sound teaching, the example of faith, and their prayers. Being a grandma myself, I love to hang out with all of our grandmas here. And as the years have gone by, it's been really lovely to see, and it's mostly down this side here, there's a whole lot of grandmas, and some of them have travelled even from different states, and also, from out of town to come along to our church for special occasions. And it's so lovely to have all the generations that are able to come and join us. And I love the Grandmothers Club, where we enjoy hanging out together and enjoy our grandkids. And it's interesting that some of us grandmas are related from different ways, and we all get together, and a lot of us have all got the same grandkids, so that's pretty cool. I'm just going to have a drink quickly. Got a bit of a sore throat, sorry about that. We also see in the Bible the story of Ruth. When Naomi's 2 sons died, she tried to persuade her 2 daughter-in-laws to return home. However, one did leave, but the other, Ruth, pleaded to stay with Naomi. So Naomi, Ruth's mother-in-law, believed that God had called her to care for her and did all that she could to provide a better future for her. Then God provided a man by the name of Boaz, and the rest is history. So you can read the whole story about Ruth and Boaz and Naomi in the story of Ruth. In the book of Ruth. But did you also know that Simon Peter's mother-in-law is also mentioned in the Gospels? She was living with Peter's family and had a fever. So they asked Jesus to come. Luke 4:38 says, Jesus left the synagogue and went to the home of Simon, who's now Peter. Now Simon's mother-in-law was suffering from a high fever, and they asked Jesus to help her. So he bent over her and rebuked the fever, and it left her. She got up at once and began to wait on them. That's the part that makes me laugh. It was amazing because she'd obviously been sick for quite some time, and they called Jesus to come and pray for the mother-in-law who had been unwell. And then as soon as she got up, at once she began to wait. And mother-in-laws, that's what we want to do. We have a servant's heart and we want to serve our family. And I think probably the fact that she'd been sick for a while and was now well made them realise how important she was to their family and how much they did really need her to help around the house. Unfortunately, in our culture, mother-in-laws and stepmums have been given a pretty terrible reputation. So we have a bit of a challenge on our hands. But not all of us are mean and nasty, hopefully. So today I would like to honour my mother-in-law, and we're going to put a photo up now. My mother-in-law's name was Hope Shipp, and she played a valuable part in our lives. So in the photo behind me, you can see that on the left-hand side, that's Kerry's parents, so that's Jack and Hope Shipp, and on the right-hand side, that's my parents, Daphne and Ron Pronger. And I didn't really, on our wedding day, and even when we got our wedding photos back, I didn't realise the significance of those photos. And when I was looking through it, I thought, here we are getting married, starting a new family, and beside us are our parents. Beside us are my parents and Kerry's parents. And to me, it was very significant because I felt as though this was symbolising that they are going to stand by us. They're going to stand beside us when we get married. They're going to be there for us. And when we have children, they'll be right beside us as well. So just a little thought, I guess, when we're having weddings, we all get these photos taken and sort of don't really think about the significance of all of that. But to me, as time goes by, I realise how significant it is to have those 2 women standing beside us and those 2 men. So just leave the photo up there for a little while. So you've probably heard about my mum and dad, and many of you would have had the privilege to meet them because they came to the church here a number of times, and you've also probably heard about my brother as well. But probably no one has heard about Kerry's mum, and her name was Hope, of course. So I first met my future mother-in-law when I was 16 years old. That's when I met my husband, my future husband too. I was young and naive, and the world was my oyster. I was happy and blessed and did not have a worry in the world. But this was very different for Kerry's mum, Hope. She had 7 children, all at very difficult stages in their lives. Her oldest son was estranged from the family. Her next son had returned from Vietnam and carried the scars of war. One son had lost his baby girl, who was stillborn. An adult son had just moved home after a relationship breakdown. Another son was taking drugs and causing havoc. Her 15-year-old daughter was pregnant and would bring her child home to live. And her 11-year-old Down syndrome daughter fought with her every day. To add to this, health issues and finances were a struggle. That was when I first met them, before I got married. After Kerry and I got married, many tragedies happened in the family. A 2-week-old granddaughter passed away. Hope's husband, Jack, who's Kerry's dad, died unexpectedly. 2 of her children got divorced, and she supported them. Her oldest son died at 52 years of age of a heart attack. To top it all off, her Down syndrome daughter became pregnant. In order to prevent her from having an abortion, Hope offered to live with her and help with the baby. Wow, what a woman she was. And, you know, at the time, I didn't realise how much was going on in her life and how much she was doing. How incredible. And sometimes we read Bible stories and read about women in the Bible and the things that they went through. But this is a modern day story, and I know in this room here today, there's probably many of you that have gone through those sorts of things as well. Now, this is not the end of the story, but I think you get the drift. So for me, as a young woman, I could not understand why my mother-in-law was always tired and stressed. She never had anything left over to give to us. Now I know why. I did not give her the honour and respect that I should have, and I do regret that now. But on the other hand, Hope, or Nana, had many great qualities, and I can now see this, and I'm so grateful. She was good with her hands and knitted many beautiful outfits for our babies. So that's why I've got here, this is my show and tell. So this is a bit of an example of something that Kerry's mum knitted for one of our babies. And our baby Nathan got to wear this. And we have some pretty photos, and of course it's the whole set, which is just beautiful and perfectly done. And then she loved to do needlework. So for those of you who are into that, you can see here, she loved to do needlework. And so this was one of her projects that she did. This is also another one of her little jumpers that was cute. She made that for Loretta. But anyway, with this, the tablecloth here, and also, of course, all of the clothes, I was blessed to inherit those. She always said to me as she was doing this fancy work, she said, Janita, I want someone that will look after that when I pass away, so I'm going to leave that to you. So I was very honoured, because I'm the daughter-in-law, I'm not the daughter, but I was very honoured to receive that, and I love to use it and display it. The other thing that Hope used to do was write poetry, and she's written hundreds of poems. A couple of our children have inherited this talent of poetry, and they use it in their songwriting. So the song that we sang, My Mum's a Superhero, was written by David, our son. And I just love to think about the fact that he has such a good grasp of poetry, because I believe that Kerry's mum, Hope, was the one that he inherited that from. And that's why it's so important to have that history and have to look at those things in our parents. So Hope loved to write poetry, and she wrote poetry for all of her family. And that was another thing that she said to me. She said, Janita, I've got these books of poetry and I would love you to keep them as a reminder of me. So I have a poem here today that I would like to read to you. And Hope wrote this poem for her son, Kerry. And it was written on his 33rd birthday, when he was actually going to a place called Carolee to take his first church on. And so this is written from a mum's heart. God bless you, my son. May God truly bless you, son, on this special day as you celebrate another birthday. May you have a blessed time with loved ones, and may it be a special year for you that's just begun. I am so proud of what you have allowed God to do in your life that you've given to him too. As you walk and work with God each day, may he empower and strengthen you in every way. I am so proud of you and love you, son. With God, you've come through many things and won. Excuse my voice. Many things in the future there will be for you too. I know God will always see it through with you. May this birth of a new year be a special year, with loved ones especially close, my dear. With God giving you the victory over each day, it's my birthday prayer for you in every way. Yeah, isn't that sweet? I'm saying all of this about my mother-in-law because I want you to be thinking about the important and significant people in your families, whether it's your mother or mother-in-law or auntie or grandma. They're all very significant women, aren't they? We don't know much about Hope's upbringing, but her mother's name was Eva Florence Love, and she named her daughters Faith and Hope. Now, isn't that amazing? So I believe she must have had a faith in God also. So she was probably already praying for us before we were even born. She passed away on Kerry's 5th birthday. Hope's family lived in Maryborough for a short time in Queen Street. And it just so happens that my cousin bought this house recently. This is my cousin from my dad's family actually bought the house that Kerry's mum grew up in Maryborough. Can you believe that? My goodness. Another special thing that Kerry's mum passed away in 2009. And since then, we now have been blessed to have a granddaughter named Hope. And she will always remind us of Grandma or Nana Hope. So we're very blessed to have a Hope in our family as well. Nana Hope loved her 7 children, their partners, and 21 grandchildren, and had prayed for all of them for many years. If nothing else, her gift to us was prayer. But more than that, she gave birth to and raised my husband, Kerry, who would go on to marry and raise his children. And now the generations continue. So this is a photo now of our family of 24 people. So she had 7 children. This is one child that's got 24. I guess there's 24 of us in our family. If you times that by 7, you end up with about 160 people that are actually still alive today that were part of her heritage. And isn't that beautiful and amazing that that happens? But today I just don't want that to be about numbers. Some women have not had their own children, or perhaps have 1 or 2 children. The message I want to bring to you today is that every woman here is significant. Your life matters. Your love and influence will be passed down through the generations by those you have been imparted to in very meaningful ways. Just put the other screen back up now, thanks, Sue. As a grandma and mother-in-law myself, I would like to thank my children and their spouses for the way in which they show their love. I feel very honoured and respected by all of them, and I'm so grateful. So today I want to honour all of the grandmas, mother-in-laws and stepmums who are here today and encourage families to show your love to them also. Recently I've been reading a book called The Lineage of Grace, which reminds me about the amazing women in the Bible that they were part of Jesus' genealogy. They were Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba and Mary. They may be famous now, but during their lifetime, they were just ordinary women like you and I. They went about their ordinary tasks each day. They had to change pooey nappies too. And, they had to feed their family and do their washing, and they had to do all of those ordinary things. And all of those women went through great challenges. It was so difficult for a lot of them. It was much tougher than the lives that we live today. And it's just a great reminder to read their stories about what they sacrificed and what they did, and that God blessed them with being a part of the lineage of Jesus Christ. But they were just ordinary women, but in God's infinite mercy, he used them in extraordinary ways. Just like these women, your life is equally as important, unique and significant to the lineage of your family. Each woman here today has been chosen by God to fulfill their destiny and purpose for him. Today, on this Mother's Day, I want to honour every mother who is here. You have all made many sacrifices for your children, but I know that you have done this out of the unconditional love of a mother's heart. We know that we cannot do this on our own, but are so blessed today to have Jesus Christ to help us. We also have our extended families and our church community to support us. Family is about generations, heritage, church, community, friendships, neighbours, schools. And today I just want to encourage you that this place, Tanana Church, is part of your village. And whatever support you need, we're here for you. And I just love to see all of the women supporting one another and how much you are there for one another. It's so beautiful. We have so much to be grateful for today. And so I'm just going to close in prayer. And then we've got some lovely morning tea that's been provided by everyone today. And I just want to say what a wonderful privilege it is for us to be here, to join together, to celebrate mothers and women and children and families. And we have all of this because God has blessed us. And we're just so privileged.